Yesterday. All right, good morning, traders. Today is October 13th, 2025. My name is John Carignan. I'm the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. That is the day trading service for the hit and run candlesticks family. Thank you so much for being here. Hey, good morning, Roasted, Fido, KJ, and everybody else. Thank you so much. I want to thank everybody out there in podcast land, digital land, cyber land, and the members here in my room. Thank you for subscribing to my content, paying for my content. Thank you for following my content. Appreciate all of that. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you for sharing my content, helping get the good word out there to the rest of the world so that they can profit as well. Appreciate that. Special shout out, Kathy, Sarah Roasted, John Jordan, Bob Jordan. Thank you so much for following me and everything you've done over the years. I appreciate that. So thank you so much. All right, let's drill down. Let's take a look at what happened yesterday. Excuse me, on Friday. I may say yesterday a few times. But here's SPY, kind of wiping out about 30 days of uptrend right here with one big candle. Question is, are we going to get follow through today? On top of that, made a new all-time high. So let's go take a look at the monologue this morning and see what we can do to summarize what happened on Friday. All right, so my SPY pivot this morning, 661. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. SPY and QQQ, believe it or not, made new all-time highs. Both of them, I think, took out about 20 or 30 days of uptrend with those big red candles. Diamond Dow and IWM made lower highs and lower lows, closing under bearish traps under their 17 EMAs. FNGU made an outside day, closing under a bearish cross and under the 17 EMA. Got to fix that. That meant to say under a bearish cross. SPY closed with a 2-hour downtrend, 10-minute downtrend. No surprise there. Silver did not make a new 14-year high. Gold and silver made inside days. Those are lower highs and higher lows, closing over bullish traps over their 17 EMAs. USO is still in a daily downtrend, made a lower high and a lower low, closing under a bearish trap under the 17. UNG now in a daily uptrend, made a lower high and a lower low, closing under a bearish trap under the 17 EMA. So UNG in a daily uptrend, obviously not moving up. US dollar index remains in an uptrend and closed near the 98.86 area. SPY Max Pain 665 with a put to call ratio of about 2.9 puts for each call. That expires today at 4:15. All right, so let's take a peek at the markets. All right, everything here, if you're new, everything under the bulls here, these are all in daily uptrends over the 17 EMA. Everything here, these are all in daily downtrends under the 17 EMA. Had some breakouts yesterday. Applied broke out to the upside, and we had some breakdowns. SG and KDP. I think KDP did not break down, but I think SG did break down to the downside, so the star came off there. A lot of breakouts to the downside over on the bearish side there. A lot of bearish traps that got bearish platforms that got taken out there. So SPY on the daily chart puts in a new all-time high by a couple pennies, okay, and wipes out about 30 days of uptrend price action right there. So SPY's an outside day, higher high, lower low, closing under a bearish trap or a bearish cross underneath the 17 EMA. So there's SPY. Still at the top of quadrant 4. That's still bullish. They're now in a downtrend, okay, because they made a lower low here. See the low right there? They made a lower low. So SPY's in a downtrend now. There's SPY. Let's take a look at the 2-hour chart. 2-hour chart, you can see that the candles are underneath the 3 EMA or on top of the 3 EMA or just under the 3 EMA. Okay, and you can see the 3 EMA and the candles are underneath the white 8 EMA. So that's a 2-hour downtrend. All right, let's take a look at the 10-minute chart. And you can see price candles. We've got underneath the 3 EMA here, or right near them. And the 3 and the candles are underneath the 8 EMA. So we got a 10-minute downtrend. So if you played this downtrend right here, we had a breakout. You had a red erases green entry, which was probably right about there, about 670, 669, and had a nice 10-minute downtrend all day after that broke out right there on Friday. So beautiful 10-minute downtrend. Made a lot of profits on that 10-minute downtrend. I got to tell you, the options had a lot of volatility priced into them, and there was quite a bit of a high premium on all the options. So there's SPY on the 10-minute with a beautiful 10-minute downtrend under VWAP that was traded on Friday, right there on the SPY. All right, on the weekly chart, what do we got here? Okay, so we're still up over the 17. All right, so we're getting a pullback, but on the weekly chart, we are still in an uptrend. Daily chart's in a downtrend. Monthly chart still, see, still up over the 17 here. So monthly chart still in an uptrend right there on SPY. So weekly and monthly, okay? Remember days back I said that there'd be times when you're not going to have the daily chart or all 3 of these or all 4 of these, the 2-hour, the daily, the weekly, the monthly, are not all going to be in an uptrend, okay? So that's what I was trying to prepare you for when I was saying I like those 10-minute uptrends that reside inside the 2-hour uptrends, that reside inside the daily uptrends, inside the weekly uptrends, inside the monthly uptrends, okay? Because I like that when that existed, okay, because I had all those bigger time frames supporting my little 10-minute uptrend, okay? Now, all right, we come full circle, and here we are with one of those bigger time frames, mainly the daily, okay, no longer in an uptrend, okay? I said these times would be coming, and here they are, sooner than I expected, all right? Kind of expected to go through the end of the year with the daily and the uptrend, the weekly and the monthly. So we'll see what happens, all right? So there's SPY. Of course, the daily's still now in a downtrend, okay? Let's take a look at the game plan for SPY. I'll shoot over here on the 15-minute. All right, let's look at the game plan. All right, so we got a green erases red entry above 664.70. Okay, got a big move yesterday. All right, so I would probably, play that trade that over 665. I mean, it's 664.70, but I'd probably move it 30 cents, make it the whole number. Make it 665. It's up to you if you want to get in early or if you want to wait for that confirmation over 665. This pivot this morning, 661. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. Red erase is green underneath, 654 right there. Okay. I just want to point out, all right, it's not here on the charts, but in the aftermarket hours, I was trading, and price got all the way down to 647 last night, Friday night. Okay, so there's about $6 of price action that's missing on this chart. And even if I put on my my post market activity, all right, which should include that, okay, and you can see it does not, because we were down at 647 last night. There was another $6 move even on top of all of this. So just want to point that out, that's missing, but that did happen Friday night. So there's SPY. Game plan. Back to the 15-minute. All right. Back to what we were looking at. Okay. So I like 4 days till expiration and 11 days till expiration Friday options on the multiple of 5 because they have more open interest. More open interest equals, yeah, yes. Well, yeah, around 647. I didn't see it get as low as 646.20, but it did get underneath 647. Yes, true, Rickster. Yeah, another like almost $6 move after the close. Rickster sharing his Friday night low. I just wanted to point that out, anyways. So I like 4 days till expiration, 11 days till expiration, Friday options on the multiple of 5 because they got more open interest. All right, more open interest usually equals higher liquidity. I like those 1 penny bid spread between the bid and the ask. That's what I like the most. So I like options that are right around 35 to 40 cent. Well, basically 30 cents on up to $1.20. And when they get up to $1.20, then it costs me a lot of my buying power, and I can only get a few options. So I like to trade them when they're low, and it's easier because I can accumulate much more than I could when I'm paying $1.20 a share for my options up there. Okay, because there's 100 shares in each contract. All right, I trade strikes that are $2 to $15 out of the money. I trade 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. I like it when they're breaking up, and away over VWAP. I trade 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. I like it when they're breaking down, and away from VWAP. Okay, and I like my favorite doesn't exist anymore. Was that, like I explained earlier, is that 10-minute uptrend that resides inside the 2-hour uptrend, that resides inside the daily uptrend, inside the weekly, inside the monthly. Okay, we don't have that anymore, and but we may get it back. We'll see what happens. Nice little bounce we're having this morning. But anyways, there's SPY. There's our game plan. Right now, if I happen to get a 10-minute uptrend that happens to manifest down here, or here, or here, long before it gets to the green erases red entry up here, okay, I'm not opposed to trading it as long as it breaks that bullish 10-minute rubber band candle. Okay, that's what I'd like to see happen before I get involved with it. All right, but I'm not opposed to trading a 10-minute uptrend that happens to originate or manifest in one of these zones right here below, in here or in here. Okay, so same with the downtrends. I'm not opposed to trading a 10-minute downtrend as long as it breaks the bearish 10-minute rubber band candle to the downside. All right, so if one of those 10-minute downtrends were to manifest up here, all right, long before the red erases green entry, all right, long before we reach the pivot, and long before we cross the red erases green here. Okay, I'm not opposed to trading those. Okay, like I said, as long as we break that bearish 10-minute rubber band candle to the downside. All right, so if you want to see what red erases green looks like, let me see if I can get my drawing tools to work. No, that's not what I wanted. Just a second. See if I can crank up the drawing tools. If not, we'll just move on to QQQ. Okay. All right, so I'm going to draw in a red box. I'm going to try, all right? So, actually, I'm going to draw in a green box. So, green, all right, goes from here, well, basically from here, up to this high, right there. Okay, right? There's no question about that. We traded from this low up to that high. Now, here comes red. This would be our red erases green. Okay, so now here we're going to do a red box. Now here comes the bears, and they just clean house, okay? So where's my entry? Right there where red erases the green, right here. Okay, that's red erasing green. Green moves up, and the bears just erase everything that the bulls did and more. All right, so that would be a typical red erases green entry right there. Just wanted people out there in podcast land and cyber land and digital land to see what a red erases green looks like so they can understand what I'm saying when I see that. So there's the bulls rallying price from this low up to this high, and then here come the bears taking it from this high past the low and then a whole lot more right there. So I wanted Cyberland to see that right there. So just wanted to make sure you guys understood when I say what red erases green is, okay? And as far as rubber band candles go, let's take a look at the 10-minute chart. If you want to know what a rubber band candle is, this would be the point of interest is typically always VWAP right here. Okay, it's typically almost always VWAP. Now it doesn't have to be VWAP, but in this case it is. Okay, in some cases it could be a trend line, a diagonal support line, a diagonal resistance line. It could be a channel, all right? So what I like to see is we got the biggest candle that spikes through it. In other words, one side of that candle resides above it, and the other side resides, the low resides well below it, okay? Now the rubber band candle becomes the free floating candle that surpasses, okay, the spike candle. Okay, this is the spike because it goes from one side and it spikes right through, okay, VWAP. So that's the spike candle. This is the rubber band candle. It's going to be the free floating one that surpasses the big spike candle. Okay, now if we get candles close underneath that, that right there is a break of the bearish rubber band candle. Now each chart has their own. Okay, so on the 5-minute, there'll be a 5-minute rubber band candle, which happens to be almost in the same location as the 10, but the 3-minute has one as well, okay, which happens to be the same location as the 10. But anyways, you can see right there, two big candles right there. And so this would be the 3-minute bearish, because it's underneath VWAP. If it was above VWAP, all right, it was a free floating one above, that would be the bullish 3-minute rubber band candle. But we're under, so this is the bearish, and you look at the time frame, 3-minute rubber band candle. Okay, so that's when I say when it breaks that, that would be my entry right there, breaking that bearish 10-minute or 3-minute or 5-minute rubber band candle. I like to use the 10-minute. I'm a big fan of the 10-minute chart. They tend to last a little bit longer, go a little bit further, okay? But you don't get out as early as you would on a 3-minute, okay? But they last longer. So you have to find something that works for you, all right? For me, I like the 10-minute chart. That's always been my favorite. So there's the 3-minute chart. I'm going to come off that. We're going to head on over to QQQ. Now that I've explained the rubber band candle and a little bit of the red erases green concept right there. So let's head on over to QQQ. Let's take a peek at what we got going on there. QQQ pivot this morning, 597.50. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. Green erases red over 602.60, and red erases green under 590.50. Okay, again, QQQ also traded down, just like SPY Friday night. Okay, so there's a whole lot of missing data down there that you might not have on your screen unless you've got like maybe Wall Street IO or somebody else that includes that post-market data like TOS, Thinkorswim. So we'll see. Okay, so I trade, all right, 4 days till expiration and 11 days till expiration. In other words, I like those. I like the Friday options because on the multiple of 5. they got more open interest, tighter bid-ask spread, okay? With strikes $2 to $15 out of the money. Again, I trade 10-minute uptrends over VWAP, 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. All right, so it's the same thing on QQQ right there. Red race green, green race red. Again, if I got the uptrend that manifest or originated uptrend down here long before the green erases red entry up here, okay, I'm not opposed to trading. In other words, I don't have to wait for green or candles to come up over the green in order to start my trading an uptrend. Right? If one were to manifest down here and it broke the bullish 10-minute rubber band candle, I would not be opposed to trading that to the upside. All right, so just want to clear that up so everyone knows that you don't have to wait for that, and you don't have to wait for this to get into a trade, because sometimes that never happens all day. So yesterday it did happen. We did have a red erases green event right there. So there's, Friday, all right? So let's take a look at FNGU. Well, actually, we'll come back. We'll go to the 10-minute here. You can see QQQ, 10-minute downtrend coming into the close. 2-hour chart, you can see, obviously, a 2-hour downtrend. Candles under the 3. 3 in the candles under the falling 8, underneath the 17. 2-hour downtrend on the 2-hour chart. Daily chart, okay, so they don't have any candles below the 17 except for down here. So this is still in an uptrend, but the SPY is not, because the SPY has a candle that was surpassed down here. So QQQ is still in an uptrend, SPY is not, technically, all right, technically. So there's QQQ. Weekly chart still holding up on the weekly chart, QQQ, and the monthly chart still holding up there. All right, let's take a look at FNGU now. All right, let's take a look at the daily. All right, so on the daily, got an outside day, higher high, lower low, closing under a bearish cross. See the cross, the 3 crossing the 8 there. So under a bearish cross under the 17 EMA. So FNGU now in a downtrend. See the low? We got a low here under the 17. They took out that low. So FNGU now in a downtrend, okay, on the daily chart. Daily downtrend. Still bullish up here at the top of quadrant 4. Start breaking major support, probably coming down to here. Again, if they break out of the upper third, all right, they'll no longer be bullish in my eyes. Okay, so there's FNGU in a daily downtrend, SPY in a daily downtrend, QQQ still in an uptrend right there. Let's take a look at IWM. Okay, IWM is got a low right here. See that below the 17. All right, question is, did we make a lower low? I think we did. We'll take a peek. The low here, 237.55. The low here, 237.56. So no, still in an uptrend. IWM, still in an uptrend right there. Price action, lower high, lower low, closing under another bearish cross underneath the falling, the rising 17 EMA. Still at the top of quadrant 4, so that's still bullish, all right, and still in an uptrend because it failed to make a lower low. I'm sure it made it in the after hours, but there's IWM. Diamond Dow. Diamond Dow, see the low? They made a lower low. Obviously, they're in a downtrend, making a lower high and a lower low, closing underneath bearish trap or cross right there. Price action closing under this rising 17. Again, up at the top of quadrant 4, that's still bullish, but in a downtrend. If they lose the upper third here, they'll no longer be bullish right there. So there's Diamond Dow on the daily chart, now in a downtrend right alongside of SPY. Okay, so remember QQQ, and IWM, both in uptrends. SPY and SPY and FNGU and Diamond Dow now in daily downtrends, breaking that low right there. Okay, so there's Diamond Dow. Let's take a look at GLD. some gold. So gold put in an inside day, okay, because you see it made a lower high and a higher low, closing over a bullish trap over the rising 17, still at the top of quadrant 4. That's still bullish, still in an uptrend. Silver did not make a new 14-year high, even though it says it on the morning blog there. Higher, lower high, higher low, closing over a bullish trap over the rising 17. Still at the top of quadrant 4. That's bullish and still in an uptrend. That's silver. Let's take a look at USO. No, you cannot trade options on FNGU. Don't know why. It's not an ETF. It's an ETN, and I don't know what those initials stand for, but I probably should educate myself sometime this week on the difference between an ETF and an ETN. All right, USO goes up, gives it up. See how it goes up, gives it up, goes up, gives it up. Going up, giving it up. Price action on USO, lower high, lower low. Closing under a bearish trap, under the 17. Here we have USO making lower highs and lower lows. So this is in a downtrend, but still neutral. Not in the lower third, not in the upper third. Okay, it's up here be bullish, down here be bearish, still in the neutral territory right here, and in a downtrend right now. Okay, let's take a look at UNG. UNG in an uptrend, but definitely not moving up. Lower high, lower low, closing under a bearish trap under the wavy 17. Near the bottom of quadrant 1. So that is bearish, but in an uptrend. That's not moving up. All right, so UNG still bearish, not in an uptrend right now. In an uptrend, but not moving up right there. UNG. All right, let's take a look at our technicals. And let's visit one more product, okay? Let's take a look at SPY. All right, we're going to look at it on the 2-day chart, okay? And I'm going to look at it with the VZO on it. And you guys know I kind of follow the VZO on the 2-day chart for SPY because it kind of tells me sometimes where there's going to be further pullback. And just having a rough go of it here with the platform this morning. See if we can get it going. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right, so on the 2-day chart, if you notice in the past, whenever the candle bars fail to meet the 9, we wind up with a dip in the future. Okay, so just want to point, we have that same setup that it's been a pattern that we failed to meet the 9 and it kind of pulls back further. So failed to meet the 9, pulls back, failed to meet the 9, pulls back. You can see failed to meet the 9, we're definitely pulling back, that's for sure. So maybe a little further pullback or a retest of those lows in the near future coming soon. So there's SPY on the 2-day chart. Wanted to point that out because we've been watching this for the next pullback here on SPY. Okay, so that time has arrived right there. Let's go look at our technicals now. All right, so we have a double bottom in the reversal zone right here and right here. Okay, so double bottom in the reversal zone, and yeah, I'll say we did reverse. All right, and you can see price action ripping to the upside. So the last time we had a double bottom here, I got to go to the 2-day chart, was COVID right here. Okay, just before, this was the highs of the market just before the COVID dip right there. 2020 double bottom, see right here, 1, 2 in the reversal zone, and then we ripped, we dropped. Okay, even though this goes up, we drop. Okay, so all the way back up to there. So, and then from that low, which actually is a high on the participation chart, market breadth. Okay, from there, price made and rallied for some higher highs or some equal highs right there. Okay, so this was the COVID rally right there, starting from that low right there. So here we are starting the little bit of a dip or a pullback. All right, could be a full-fledged reversal. We'll see. That's what we got in that's what we got in the market last time, and that was from COVID. Okay, wanted to point that out. Okay, because we had a low, and yeah, here's the second low. There's your double bottom. Could see a harsh pullback. Don't know how far it's going to go. T2101, that measures the market breadth. Obviously, we had a whole lot more participation than we did before in the markets. You can see participation has stepped up in this pullback right now. There's T2101, T2122. We parked in the oversold zone all day on Friday. No surprise there with all the selling that we had. We started out the day trying to break out of here. You can see we knocked on the door of the seller's chop zone in the morning. You can see SPY made a new all-time high. Okay, but it didn't last long, and then we spent the rest of the day down here in oversold zone. T2123, okay, obviously in a 15-minute chart, 15-minute downtrend, making lower highs and lower lows underneath the 17 EMA, underneath the 200 SMA. So 15-minute now in a downtrend. T2123, T2123 3-bar chart, pulling back to the rising 200 here, looking like a bounce is happening in the market. T2123 3-bar chart in a downtrend. There's a low. We made a lower low. Okay, we're still up here in quadrant 4, so we're still bullish, but we're definitely not in an uptrend right now. Okay, so there's T2123 3 bars. Take a look at FNGU, and you can see FNGU makes an outside day with a higher high than the day before. Higher high and a lower low, closing underneath down here. So FNGU in a, see the low? Well, we made lower low on the 15-minute chart because we got these, see the 17, that's the green dots. See how we made a lower low? We went underneath these, so we're in a 15-minute downtrend on FNGU. And of course, we're back underneath the 200 SMA. But we're still bullish, being up at the top on the daily chart, but not on the 15-minute. Okay, because we broke support here. Okay, looks like we're recovering it this morning. Breaking this support right here, that would be like a major support. And I mentioned this. Look at all the times this area was tested. Once, twice, 3 times, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then 14 broke through. On the 14th tie, they broke through, and the bulls pushed it right back up in the pre-market hours, right there. See that? Okay, so 14 got canceled. All right, so we're going to have 15 and 16 probably. So there's FNGU right there. Okay, we watch FNGU. It's got 10 of the most heavily weighted securities that are in the SPY and the QQQ. All right, and because when those 10 move as a pack, like a pack of dogs or a pack of bears, you know what I'm saying? When they move as a pack, they can drag those 2 indexes right along with them. Hence, you see what happens. Here's the bounce right back to the 200, and you can see SPY and QQQ bouncing. And like Rickster said, we had a low on Friday on the SPY of 646.20. Okay, so, and you can see we were up there trading when I looked earlier about 661, 662. So that's a pretty big bounce. That's like a $14, $15 bounce. Okay, so that's huge right there. So there's FNGU, and again, like I said, when these move as a pack, all right, then they can drag the markets with them. Hence, that's why you got the Qs and the SPY bouncing so hard today. All right, so there's FNGU. All right, let's take a look at the economic calendar, and then we'll talk about trading SPY this morning, okay? So let's take a look at the economic calendar, see if I can dig one up here. All right, let's start with the dollar. All right, this is a chart, daily chart of the US dollar. Okay, we made a high here, we made a higher low, and we made a higher high. So we're in an uptrend. Okay, we're in an uptrend right now on the daily chart. We closed, see this big red candle right there, so we closed right about 98.85, 98.86 right there, okay? Still in a daily uptrend now, all right? But inside of this big bear flag. Let me point out that bear flag so you can see that. Get the lines out there. Okay, so bear flag goes from down here and then over to the right. Okay, so we're still in a bear flag, but we're in a daily uptrend right now, right there. Okay, so we keep an eye on the dollar. On the economic calendar, not much happening today. All right, a lot of stuff happened Friday. Mr. Trump tweeted, President Trump tweeted, and it really sent the markets flying. Now, I don't know whether we came to a technical spot, because I noticed we had a double bottom in the T2101. That would be the market breadth. In addition to that, we had a triple top on the daily chart, all right, on the SPY. So we were in a reversal zone with a triple top on the daily chart. Was it Mr. Trump's tweet? Could be. Or maybe that was the beginning of it, and that was enough to send the markets into the dip that we're currently living out right now. Okay, so we'll see what happens. Technically, the Trump tweet came in at the same time as we were technically near a spot where price would reverse. Okay, triple top on the daily chart, double bottom there on the market breadth. All right, so tomorrow, nothing happening, nothing to be reported. We're still in the midst of our government shutdown, I believe. I don't read the news. All right, so as far as I know, we're still in the government shutdown. Maybe we're rallying because of the shutdown's over. I don't know. But anyway, Empire State Manufacturing Index comes out Wednesday at 8:30. Okay, and then the beige book at 2. Tuesday, it's got a clear schedule. Monday, it's got a clear schedule. Thursday, we have jobless claims. That's if the government's open, we may get jobless claims. Recently, we have had a lot of reports delayed or not even submitted due to government shutdown. So all of these, even though they're scheduled, may not even happen due to government shutdown. Okay, so jobless claims, and Wall Street does not like uncertainty. All right, so there you go. We're not getting economic data. Wall Street doesn't like that. All right, so whenever you fail to produce your earnings on earnings day, Wall Street does not like that. The same thing is they do not like it when they're not receiving updates on the data. So recently that's been going on. Jobless claims 8:30 on Thursday. PPI final demand 8:30 on Thursday. Retail sales 8:30 Thursday. Philly Fed manufacturing index 8:30 Thursday. Business inventories 10. Housing market index 10 o'clock. Gas report 10:30. Petroleum report at 12. Now, normally that gas report is on Wednesday. Don't know why they moved it. I don't know of any holidays, but they moved it to Thursday on the 16th. All right, Friday, housing starts and permits, 8:30 in the morning. Import-export prices, 8:30. Industrial production, 9:15. And a rig count at 1. So that's it right there. They're set to meet in Korea. Is this a new meeting or an old meeting, or last I heard they were hostile? New meeting. Well, that's probably why the market's rallying. All right, so let's go look at how we're going to trade SPY this morning. And let's go over to here. Let's pick up the 10-minute chart. We want some pre-market activity on here. All right. All right. Currently, we've got consolidation over prior consolidation. That's bullish. All right. In addition to that, we have a ascending tails or ascending lows. So I would look for a break up over 662.35 as a possible bullish entry for me. Okay, so I'm going to mark it off right now. So a break up over this. See this big red candle? Erasing that whole candle and more. And if you got a candle to close up here, that would be my entry right there. I'm gonna, with these ascending lows, I'm quite confident that that's what's gonna happen, is we're going to get a breakout up over that. Okay, but just in case we don't, I will mark off the first 15 minutes of price action. All right, up here, first 15 minutes, and a breakout of that first 15 minutes would be the direction that I would head off into. More inclined to take the breakout on the bullish side than I would on the bearish side, based on my bullish bias this morning. Consolidation over prior consolidation. Okay, so we'll see what happens. All right. And again, breaking the lows down here. All right. I would be looking for gap fill. Okay, so breaking the lows down here, I would be looking at gap fill, and maybe then some, maybe down to 650. Okay, so, but I see these ascending tails, all right, which makes me inclined to see price is probably going to try to break out up here. All right, need it to break out and hold up here. Okay, need a breakout, and it's got to hold the higher ground, not give it up. Okay, so might be the second time we break out would be the winning one, and not the first one. If they go up, give it up, and then do a J hook back up through there. That would be the one to take on the 10-minute chart on the SPY. So that's my plan to trade this morning's price action. Okay, looking for a breakout up here. Okay, as an entry, right on top of that big candle. Okay, right there. And I'm going to look at the first 15 minutes and trade the breakout for that. You can see price kind of creeping up, you know, kind of melting up right now. See that? That's what makes me believe it's probably going to be up here. So we'll see. Need it to hold the higher ground. Okay, they can go up, give it. They can go up there, give it up, but they need to return quickly back to the scene of the crime, right up here. Okay, so there's SPY. All right, traders. Let's go get them this morning. All right, starting a new 27K account this morning. All right, so starting from scratch again. All right, so we'll start trade. I'll be recording this morning's session again. All right, that's it for right now. I will come back, and I'll see you guys in like 35 minutes, and we'll open up the markets.